Hey guys, 2D here, welcome back for both rounds 5 and 6 at Silverstone and Netherlands. Unfortunately, my Silverstone recording corrupted after lap 18, so I'll just make a short highlights reel before I show you qualifying. If you haven't watched round 4 in Japan yet, be sure to check that one out before you see this video. We are now leading the championship by 17 points over Blur. So we qualified P3 for the Silverstone race. We get a good launch, hopefully we can overtake Russell into turn 1, but not good enough clearly. Silky is wheel to wheel with us through turns 1 and 2. We just pull ahead on the exit of turn 2. Are we going to go for a move on Bobby? Here we go down the inside of the Red Bull, but it doesn't work and we've been spun. Let me know if that was my fault in the comments, but we do drop down to P15 out of that one, and now we just have to work our way back up the grid, all the way up back into P7 on lap 5. A Red Bull has gone off. Could this be a triple overtake? Here we go down the inside into turn 1, and yes it is. We are up into P4. Our teammate lets us through on lap 7 and we're already back into the podium positions by lap 8 of the Grand Prix. Up into P2 now, past the Alpine, and there is a safety car out. We come into the pit lane and Bobby, who is the leader of the race, sped into the pit lane, got a 10-second penalty and has retired. So we drop back down to P6 because there was actually a glitch under the safety car which put me back a few positions, and this is where the recording corrupted. So we'll hop into qualifying for round 6 at the Netherlands. It's a dry qualifying session, but there will actually be rain at the end of the race. It is forecast, so we'll have to watch out for that just in case. But the rain is forecast, I think, in about 45 minutes after the start of the race, so it might just hit right at the end, but at least according to the forecast it shouldn't actually affect anything. And we did finish P3 in Silverstone, by the way. Obviously I couldn't show that because of the recording corrupting, but we finished first on track and had a 3-second time penalty which dropped us back a couple of positions. So hopefully we can finally stand back on the top step of the podium here in Netherlands. This is a decent track for me. Going into this race, I had some pretty good time trial pace actually. I probably was a bit inconsistent, but there is an 8.8 we set and go provisionally fastest in short qualifying. The tyres do hold on fairly long around here, the soft tyres, so they do have enough tyre life to go for 2 qualifying laps on each set, which means we'll probably only use 2 sets in qualifying and save a set of softs for the race, just in case we need them. See, we're already 2 tenths up on this second qualifying lap on this set of tyres. The temperatures are pretty difficult to get in for the first lap around here. A little bit wide there, that probably cost us nearly a tenth of a second. So we know we have at least a tenth in hand if we go again, which we will obviously in this session. A Ferrari ahead, might get a tiny bit of slipstream from him, but nothing to really make that much of a difference to where it will improve our time very much. Coming through the final banked right-hander of the lap, it's an 8.7 flat, so nearly a 2/10 improvement, which should put us well over 2/10 clear of the rest of the field, which around such a short track like this is actually pretty difficult to find. So it's not a lot of time, but we are hopefully pretty safe in P1. It's an 8.98 from Ryan there. So yeah, we are about 2/10 clear of Ryan. And then we've got our old teammate Alfie in P3. He has switched to Alpine, and we've got a new teammate here at Sauber who will hopefully help us to the Constructors' title. But here we go. This will be our second to last lap. We went out with enough time so that we could do a lap and then a cool down lap and then our final qualifying run. Up into turn 1 through the right hander. We've lost a couple hundredths through there, but nothing too major. Flat nearly through this right hander, shift down to 5th and then down into 3rd in this heavily banked left, which you want to go close to the inside and then go slightly wider on the exit. It is flat through here actually. This entire section on this year's game is somehow flat, which is absolutely ridiculous. There we are, we found our 10th of a second through that right-hander we were talking about earlier. Good exit through here. Difficult to not lose traction, but we gain another half a tenth. Down the gears, 4th and then into 3rd through this right-left chicane. Nice traction. We're up by over 1/10 of a second into the final corner. Difficult corner, don't want to get too much on the outside curb or the inside curb, but we don't do either of those things. To the middle of the track, up to the line. What will this lap time be? It is an 8.568, which allows us to retain provisional pole position. No one has improved past us yet. SVC Lewis goes second, and we have got one more lap to try and find just a little bit more time and really just confirm that we will get that pole position. But we've lost the rear massively through the first corner and lost 200ths down into third gear, on to the exit, up to fourth, and then this right-hander, stick it in flat again, and we are about even on our lap time. Sixth gear through here, and not really much time to gain through there, but we do find a couple of hundredths. Fourth gear through here to try and keep the traction on these slightly worn tyres, and into the chicane. There's a Williams in the gravel which distracted us slightly, and there's a Mercedes in the middle of the track which definitely distracted me a little bit, and we've run wide through the final corner, which means there won't be any improvement on this final run in qualifying. But we are still on pole position by 0.3 of a second, around just a 68-second lap, which in Formula 1 terms is actually pretty big margin, which I'm very happy about. So we're going to start on the mediums, and if you look at the forecast, those last two weather symbols are actually rain and more rain, which I mean, it's going to make this race interesting. Sometimes when it says that the rain doesn't actually hit, but it's 5 lights and it's lights out, and away we go for the start of the Netherlands Grand Prix. Here we go, up the gears, up into turn 1. We do maintain this lead. Lewis stays second, Ryan in third, and Alfie and Webbers are fighting it out as there is a Ferrari spun round at the first corner. But now we just need to settle in and not get in any silly battles which could cost us. DRS is going to be important around this track, even though there's only 2 DRS zones. It's, you know, they gain quite a lot of time. If you look, DRS zone starts here and runs all the way to turn 1. Lewis, will he go for a move on lap 1? Mark says there is no rain currently expected. DRS is enabled, and it's wheel to wheel between us and Lewis. We're going to try and maintain the lead. I know I said not to get any silly battles, but we don't want to drop down to third as Ryan goes around the outside, and maybe we should have let Lewis go easier, and maybe we would not have dropped the position to Ryan as well. But there's plenty of laps to make a move on these two. But obviously third is never the position you want to be in, because second gets the advantage of DRS on the leader gets the advantage of clean air, and you don't really get any advantage apart from being able to keep up with second place. Here comes Ryan, looks to the inside but decides against it. And will he go for a move as Lewis is looking very squirmy on the exit of the final corner? Ryan down the inside. Could we try and capitalise on this move that Ryan is making? Try and go for a move on Lewis, but actually no, the other Mercedes is coming at us. Webber's on the soft tyres, and Russell also on the soft tyres. Probably really want to get past us, because those tyres will be dying off in just a couple of laps, but they will have a pretty big pace advantage as we're gaining on Lewis. Not really an overtaking position there. The chicane is just a bit too tight to really make 2 cars go side by side through there, but Lewis is looking down the inside of Ryan again. Lewis will take the lead. Can we go past Ryan down into turn 1, late on the brakes? Almost contact. We managed to keep it out of each other's side pods, and Ryan maintains second place, and Lewis and Ryan are fighting it out for the lead here. Very hard considering how early it is in the race, but I guess it's just because neither of them really want to be gobbled up by the rest of the pack. As you can see in the mini-map, there are about 6 cars in this DRS train, and when you're that 6th car in the train, obviously you could be only 2-3 seconds away from the leader, but your chance of winning is basically none. So if you drop from 2nd to 6th, you've lost your chance of winning. But here comes Ryan back into the lead of the race. He definitely is not keen to lose his chance at winning, as are none of us, I'm sure. Webber's still hasn't had any opportunities to overtake, and those soft tyres will start to be becoming slower than our mediums. Both of these guys really struggling for traction through there, which is understandable. It's cold temperatures, which the mediums definitely do not thrive in, and it's only getting colder really. You can see overhead it is grey skies, and it makes you wonder, is the rain going to come earlier than the forecast predicted? Lewis takes the lead back from Ryan. These two are squabbling, and we really need them to squabble more so that we can have a chance once one of them is on a disadvantaged line, that we can overtake them. But that's a disadvantaged line. Ryan got on the grass on the entry of that flat right-hander, and we take back second place, which is the optimal position around a track like this where the DRS is so powerful. And if we can just hang on to this track position for the rest of the race, staying in first or second place, we will be in a very good position to win it. Lewis defends from us and keeps the lead of the Grand Prix, and flat again. Just every single corner around this track is so tight and so flat, and in conditions like this, pretty low grip as well, which is a pretty scary combination at times. But here we go around the outside of Lewis, and will we be able to retain it? No, we stay in second place. No chance that will work for us. But yeah, this is
yellow flag.
Virtual safety car? Never mind. But
VSC deployed. The virtual safety car has been
as I was
deployed.
going to say,
Let's keep a positive delta here.
we are in a good position for the win,
Okay, slow down,
but
slow down.
it
Your
is
delta's negative,
pretty
which means
scary
you're going too fast.
being in a pack like
VSC
this
ending. Wait for
with
the
6 cars where, you know, all it takes is one person to have a lock-up and you're all gone, and the person in 7th
Green
is winning.
flag.
EGT, the Ferrari who just went past, is out of the session. I think that's what caused the virtual safety car. We overtake Lewis.
To give that place back, I'm afraid that was an illegal overtake.
Apparently is illegal. I think for some reason the yellow flags went all the way up to the line, which I didn't really expect, but that's annoying because that has cost us track position on Ryan as well, which drops us back down into 3rd position, as Lewis has a massive snap, and this could mean he could get gobbled up, like I was saying, by the rest of the pack. And will he though? It doesn't look like he will, because Webber's tyres are starting to go off, so he isn't that close, and he's obviously his teammate, so we want to fight him too hard. But he does drop down into 3rd place, and it's a Mercedes 3-4, and Mark says rain is coming in 15 minutes. With a minute a lap, that's about 15 laps, which means the rain will be hitting on about lap 25, which is definitely not near the end of the race. And I mean, if it comes down heavily, we will be ending the race on intermediate tyres as we come down the inside on Ryan and up into 1st place again. He's trying to fight it, but he is nearly a car's length behind, and now is a car's length behind, and we do keep the lead. Lewis seems to be struggling in these conditions, as are a few others. I think Webber's spun, Alfie made a mistake, and Russell, I think, retired in the pit lane. Mark has come back on the radio. Rain in 10 minutes. That's even sooner than we expected. Now, I mean, rain might even hit on lap 20.
Okay, be aware, grip levels are going to start falling
as our
away
teammate
soon.
comes into
Okay,
the
pit
pits
window's open, so
for,
let's box this
I'd
lap,
assume,
box
the
this
hard
lap.
tyres, we take back the lead from
Caution,
Ryan, and we're
caution.
basically just DRS training to try and get away from Lewis and Alfie, which we have done. The gap now up to 2 seconds, and again we'll let Ryan through, lifting quite a bit earlier before the corner. Mark wants us to box, but we might as well stay out and see what happens with the rain. And that is a safety car, which, I mean, is pretty predictable. This happens every single time I break away from the pack. There is a safety car, and we will now come into the pits for the hard tyres until the end. Ryan nearly making us speed into the pit lane. He was very close in the back, and I didn't want to brake check him, but that has ended up okay. But Ryan has pit onto the soft tyres, and so has Alfie, which if the rain hits, means we're going to be at a massive disadvantage.
The rain's a few lap outs yet, but it is coming,
And
so be careful.
Mark says the rain is only a few laps out. And yeah, there it is. So hard, soft,
Okay, the safety
hard,
car's coming
soft,
in this
medium
lap.
is
We'll be
the
pacing the
top
field in
5's
sector
tyres.
3.
And
Make
you
sure to
will
respect
not
the
want to
delta
miss
until the safety
the
car's
last
into the
17
pit lane.
laps of this race. I have no idea who's going to win. No one on this grid knows who's going to win. It could be any 12 of us left in this race. And I go late because I do not want the soft tyre runners to overtake me into turn 1, but we need to give ourselves time to run away so that when we decide it's time to box for inters, we don't come out into traffic. Here we go. And this, I really don't know what's going to happen. There's a red arrow as Ryan tries to send it down the inside, and these track temperatures are cold. These tyres are even colder because I don't know how we're going to get any temperature into them, and Ryan is all over our rear wing because, as you see on the exit, there's just no temperature in the tyres, and I think the rain is going to hit any time now as there's another safety car, and we've got a big decision to make now. Will we pit under the safety car for inters? No one comes in just yet. Mark says the rain could come at any moment, but we can't box yet. Alfie nearly pits, and Lewis decides to go in for the inters, and the Williams as well has boxed for inters, so there's a couple drivers on those tyres, and who has made the right call? I mean, Silky goes in, and I mean, that's another driver on the inters now, as it is raining on the restart, and now how are we going to get any temperature into these hard tyres? Alfie and Ryan are wheel to wheel. We are sliding with 13 laps to go. We're going to have to pit at some point. But who's made the right strategy call? Who will box on the right lap? And will the people who have already pit under safety car, will they come out in the lead? Or will they get a puncture from how much their inters will be overheating in these conditions? No one knows. I don't know. Alfie is trying to go for a move around the outside. That's obviously not going to work. Our teammate is nearly spun. And it's all kicking off now. We're just going to let Alfie through. We're going to recharge our battery. Let Alfie through and try and use his DRS, which is still enabled at this point in time. But you can see he's just massively pulling away on those soft tyres, which have still got temperature in them. And we just have nothing. Already 8/10 the gap, even using DRS, and we need these two to fight. But even if they do fight, the question is still, is Lewis going to have made the God strategy call and win this race? Our teammate pits as Alfie takes the lead of the race, and now there are intermediate runners into the top 5, Lewis and Blurp in 4th and 5th, and the gap is only 3 seconds to Lewis, which means he's made an entire pit stop on us and is surely going to win unless he gets a puncture, which could also be a possibility because those tyres are going to be wearing surely like 10% a lap with how much they must be overheating, as ours are having the exact opposite issue. We cannot get any heat into them, and we are sliding pretty much everywhere. Even easy traction zones are an absolute struggle for us, and we've dropped 2 seconds to the leaders and a second to Lewis, and we've decided now is the time to call it quits. Alfie and Ryan both get 10-second penalties. Alfie's got removed by the end of this race because he did get pushed into the pit lane, like nearly happened with us by Ryan. I don't think he did it on purpose. He apologised after the race, so it's all okay. But yes, so Alfie's penalty is nullified. Ryan has got a 10-second penalty. Ryan lets Alfie through to try and be fair. And now everyone's on inters, and we're in 6th. we have dropped from what looked like it could be an almost easy win to being a pit stop behind the leaders and with 5 cars to pass. But there's 9 laps left, and I mean, this pack could be the fight for the win still if that top 3 gets punctures, which still could be a pretty big possibility with how long they'll have been on those inters in dry conditions. Alfie nearly spins and we overtake him up into the top 5. DRS is still for some reason enabled, as maybe the softs would still have been quicker at this point, but I think that's unlikely because we are still already losing traction. I don't think it's because these tyres are overheating. I think everyone's just trying to get used to these wet conditions, because remember, at the start of this race it was completely bone dry, and I mean, this has got to be the greatest race I've ever driven in for that weather changeability, and no one knows who's going to win. I mean, you'd think it'd be impossible for us to catch Lewis. If you look at the mini-map again, the gap is absolutely huge, maybe 15 seconds, and there's only 7 laps to gain, but I mean, we are gaining probably easily over a second a lap as DRS is disabled on Lewis, but I mean, that wouldn't be enough, but he still might get a puncture, and if you look at how much we're gaining on Blurp, it's entirely possible that those Inters runners will be just too slow by the end of the race. I mean, I don't know. But Ryan, what I do know is that it's not the optimal racing line. So Ryan gets on that death curb, which is, yeah, pretty annoying. It's happened to me a few times in practice. If you get on that curb, it just absolutely kills you. 12 seconds to Lewis, which means, yes, we need to be gaining 2 seconds every single lap. There's an open road ahead of us with only one Aston Martin between us and Lewis in the lead, and I mean the win is still somehow on the tables. The gap's down to 11 seconds now in just a few corners. The gap to Blurp has come down to just 2, as there's a virtual safety car, which is going to make our job even more difficult. But this race could literally go anyone's way. It could be us, it could be Blurp, it could be Lewis, it could be Alfie, it could even be Ryan. Although that's unlikely as he gets a drive through, so maybe it won't be Ryan. But still, this top 4, it could literally go anyone's way still, depending on whether that Mercedes gets a puncture and depending on how quickly we can dispatch of this Aston Martin. Targets now focused on Blurp ahead, our teammate for next season, our championship rival for this season. And look at how much we are gaining. I think he must have a bit of wing damage as well as those tyres being absolutely dead, as we are gaining absolutely massively. Could we even make a move down into that chicane, which I previously said isn't really an overtaking position? And no, not yet. We haven't got that much of a pace advantage. Alfie is gaining on us as well, which means it could... this is going to be a big disadvantage for us if we want to catch Lewis. We're going to need to get past now, and we do. Bold move down the inside, easy to lose traction there, but Blurp is still trying to fight us down into turn 1. We are not going to allow him to stay ahead any longer than he has already been, and bye bye Blurp. And now it is time, with 3 laps left, to gain 10 seconds to a Mercedes. Will this be possible? I don't know, but we are going to try. The gap now under 10 seconds, 9.5, and it's coming down by half a second every couple corners. So, I mean, how many corners a lap? Maybe 13 corners a lap? I don't know. I mean, maybe if we're gaining... we need to gain 3 seconds a lap at this point, but the gap's already under 9 seconds through turn 1. And, I mean, just... if you looked a lap ago, that gap was 10 seconds. And now, through Sector 1, we've already gained another 6 tenths and another 4 tenths just a couple of corners later. And that gap is shrinking at a massive rate as we are sliding through every single mid-corner, pushing these tyres to their absolute limit. The gap is down to 7 seconds now. We gained 3 seconds last lap. And at that pace, maybe it's possible. 6.5, 6.3. It's coming down every corner by at least a tenth of a second. 6.2 now. And it's nearly under 6, which is half of what it was just a few laps ago. But with only 1 lap left, 6 seconds in 1 lap is not going to be possible, I don't think. But is it? I think Lewis is on about 75% tyre wear from what he told me at the end of the race. And could he get a puncture? 5.5 seconds the gap is down to now by the end of lap 35. One more lap to chase down 5.5 seconds and then overtake. And I've got to say, I don't think it's possible, as the gap's down to 4.6 now. And it's coming down quicker than ever before. I mean, we've gained already over a second this lap, but I mean, we have to see 4.3, 4.2, 4.1, but with only a sector to go, the only chance we have to win this is a mistake, a puncture, or those back markers holding up Lewis somehow. 4 seconds the gap now as we head 2 more corners to go. We can see him, but this final corner is flat out as there's yellow flags in sector 3. Is that Lewis?
Track is clear.
No, it's not Lewis, it's the back markers. And that felt almost on purpose by the game, giving us yellow flags in the final sector of the final lap, only for it not to be Lewis. But he wins. We come home for second. It's another podium this season. We are the first driver to break 100 points in the championship. Blurp just trailing by 15 points. Lewis lifts himself up to third in the Drivers' Championship. Sauber extend our lead to Mercedes up to 46 points. I think our teammate finished 5th in that race. A very decent result considering he didn't have the best of luck. I think he won last time out in Silverstone as well. But I'll see you guys next time out in China.